Somalia is in the grip of another drought. Families with nothing left at home are fleeing to camps like this in the capital, Mogadishu. Many say hunger is only part of their struggle. They are also escaping fighting in their villages. Kadra Hussein Ibrahim is still mourning her 2-year-old son. She says he died 3 months ago because she couldn't get enough food for him. She once relied on aid agencies, but international funding cuts means she now gets nothing.
I'm worried about my children. I don't have enough food to give them. My husband is dead. I worry about their future. I can't even eat. They are my priority.
Across Somalia, 2 million people live in displacement camps. More arrive in Mogadishu every day, searching for food and safety. The government has declared drought in several regions. Rains have failed yet again, and 4.6 million people need food assistance.
People are not now able to have access to water. The access to water is reducing. The health facilities that were mainly supported by international agencies, by partners, by government, now because of the significant reduction in the funding have closed, so we see more people displaced. I mean, the figures show that almost 1.85 million children are now at risk of malnutrition.
Most are exhausted, hungry. Those already living here do what they can to help. These people have just arrived from villages farther south. The community here has been helping with food and shelter, but aid workers say they are struggling to help because of the aid cuts. Some organizations previously supported by USAID and other donors say they've lost half of their funding. Sayed Ali Aden shows us a school he used to run inside the camp. It was the only one serving displaced children. Now it's closed, the health center too, because the money ran out.
I've been idle for the past year and a half. My own children are not in school. Many of the children I taught now spend their days in the market doing nothing. We can't afford to feed them. Other schools are too far from the camp.
Back at Kadra Ibrahim's house, she's managed to prepare some soup for her children, but she has no idea where tomorrow's meal will come from.
This is the failed generation of Somalia, the generation that has been leading Somali politics for the last 30 years. So what have we gotten from this? Let's look at the numbers. Around 70% of Somalis live in extreme poverty. Africa's average is roughly 40%. Over 4.6 million Somalis face acute food insecurity. Somalia is consistently in the top 5 worst hunger crises in the world. 1.8 million children are acutely malnourished. Over 400,000 are severely malnourished. Adult literacy in Somalia is about 41%, one of the lowest literacy rates in the world. Africa's average is close to 70%. The global average is 84%. Over 60% of Somali youth are unemployed. And nearly 70% of the population is under 25. Somalia's life expectancy is 57 years. The global average is 73 years. 1 in 10 children die before the age of 5. That's around 100 deaths per 1,000 births. Globally, that number is about 37. Somalia has more than 3 million internally displaced people. And every single week, hundreds of young Somalis die in the Mediterranean Sea, trying to escape this system for a better life. And yet, we welcome these leaders as heroes. We clap for them. We defend them, even though their results are the worst in the world. So in the end, we can only blame ourselves. Because for them, the system works.
Someone asked me why I'm making it seem like I cannot go back to Somalia. Well, the only thing I can say to that is, as someone with a psychology degree, and you don't have to have a psychology degree to know this, but some people may not know this, that there is something called generational trauma. Just like we inherit our DNA from our parents, we also inherit their fears and traumas as well. So there are things like trauma that can be passed down from one generation to another. So I have a fear of going back to Somalia without ever having seen it, unfortunately. But I love my country and I would love to go see it. I would love to go touch the sand, smell the air, conversate with the people, and eat its fruits. But life is step by step, and I would love to start with baby steps. I would love to visit Jigjiga, and I would love to go to Garowe. I would also love to go visit Hargeisa and Borama and stay in Dar es Salaam, that's in Mogadishu. But yeah, baby steps, baby steps.
So let's be clear. There are multiple concrete reasons. Many Somalis say returning home is not realistic and they are not mysterious. So the first reason that we've seen is about employment and income stability. So in Somalia, unemployment rates are extremely high, especially outside a few urban centers. And the ones that are there, they are limited, since now the population is quite high. Most available work is informal, inconsistent, and cash based. So that means no predictable income, we have no labor protection, and even no long-term planning. And some Somalis, they have established their lives in other countries, so it makes it not easy for them to move. So if someone currently has access to regular income, even low wage income, returning to an economy where income is uncertain is a material downgrade, so not an emotional one.
Did you know that Somalia, yes, Somalia has one of the lowest life expectancies in the entire world? Average Somali only lives around 57 years. Decades of war, drought, and poverty have left millions without clean water, food, or proper healthcare. Many families walk for miles just to find water, and sometimes it's not even safe to drink. Hospitals are underfunded, short on doctors, and often without electricity. Children die from preventable diseases, and mothers risk their lives during childbirth. It's a crisis that rarely makes the headlines. The impact doesn't stop in Somalia. Many Somalis who migrate to Europe still carry the effects. Poor access to healthcare back home, trauma, and years of hardship that affects both their physical and mental health. Even in safer countries, many struggle to rebuild their lives, adapt, and find support. Let's repost to show awareness.
What makes me so sad is that so many Somalis back home are suffering from what they think is gas or heartburn or gastritis, and it is, but it's caused by a lifelong bacterium that is living in their stomach lining, that is from the water that they are drinking, and it has a prevalence in the Horn of Africa from 70 to 90%, and the bacteria is called H. pylori. Full name is Helicobacter pylori, and it is found in contaminated water sources, and it's spread orally. You can give it to your child by feeding it by your hand, by sharing cups, sharing cutlery, and it's a spiral-shaped bacterium, and once you ingest the contaminated water, it lives in your stomach lining for decades and decades. Like my grandmother died in 2019 from a form of stomach cancer that was caused by her chronic inflammation that was triggered by her the constant contaminated water that she kept drinking. It survives the stomach lining for years and years because it produces urease, which converts urea to ammonia, which neutralizes the stomach acid, and then it gets to burrow into your mucus layer, and it can live there for ages unless you go on obviously rounds and rounds of antibiotics. It makes me so sad because it's almost like a cultural thing for elderly people back home to just stop eating spicy or tomato based meals and start eating bland food or anything to like manage their gas, but in reality it's not gas, it's the bacteria in their stomach that is creating these symptoms like bloating, and honestly chronic inflammation in general, which is the body's reaction trying to fight infection and injury, but obviously over time, if it's constant and if it's chronic, it leads to cancer like it did with my grandmother. It thins out your stomach lining so much so that your body is no longer able to absorb iron, and we know a lot of Somalis suffer from anemia and iron deficiency. You're unable to absorb any sort of nutrients, B12, anything. What makes me so annoyed is that my family back home, like even my mother and sister, have been diagnosed with H. pylori, and I'm always telling them, can you please boil your water? And they always constantly forget to just boil their water, and they just drink it straight out the tap, and you cannot drink tap water in Somalia. Not even in Somaliland, as the people want me to specify. Honestly, if your parents are complaining of gastritis or any sort of gas, or any sort of heartburn, please go to the hospital and get them checked for H. pylori, because I'm telling you, majority of Somali immigrants that come from Somalia have it. You can get it below the age of 10. Most Somali kids get it at age of 5, anytime that they begin drinking Somali tap water, which they shouldn't be drinking unless they have boiled, because it's not safe because of contamination and malnutrition. And as a biomed student, as someone that's taking public health, it pisses me off so much when Somalis complain about gas, when in reality it's the bacteria, it's the bacteria, it's the bacteria.
We have also the issue of health care. So serious illnesses like we've seen H. pylori, the stomach bacteria, which some of them are manageable in developed countries, because now the health is a little bit high there, and this issue becomes life-threatening where hospitals are under-resourced and understaffed and even inaccessible, So preventable diseases, maternal complications, and even untreated chronic conditions are still a major risk in Somalia. So as we've seen, we've heard of stories being given of how women get complications while giving birth, because now the hospitals also, they are not accessible. They are far away from the interior areas. Yeah.
How are they going to be able to change the country if their own people are resenting them and not saying, do you know what, because of the past?
Let me tell you something. Let me answer this perfectly. I'll tell you something, okay? First of all, the reason is because of the fact that the politicians currently in power have no naharis. That's number one. Really and truly, if my people or even the administration before me committed a genocide in the south and also the north, I'll go ahead and do an apology and say we are sorry for our past actions. They don't have that within them. They have yet to do it regardless to begin with, okay? And it's been how many years? They haven't apologized for anything of any past administrations. Second of all, they're not even helping the people which are poor within the country. You're telling me that you're putting so much within the cities.
So for Somalis that have already lived in countries that are developed, like Minnesota in the USA, there is reliable electricity, we have clean water, we have sewage systems, we have roads, even internet access. They are consistently available. So most of them are claiming that affects everything in terms of education. Some have businesses they are running, healthcare delivery, and even emergency response. So people don't talk about this enough, but infrastructure determines whether daily life is manageable or exhausting. Let's continue with the clips and then we'll come back with more comments.
You know what the predominant religion is in Somalia? Take a guess. Islam. Over 99% of the population. You guessed it.
Somalis are not terrorizing this nation. We are helping it thrive. Somalis have always seen themselves as a fabric of this nation.
Are you sure about that, Elon Omar? You want to retract that statement? Nope. All right, let's pull up some facts, shall we? Let's pull up some more. Right. Helping America thrive. Here's where my problem lies. Elon Omar is always talking negatively about America, the country that she resides in, and she's always speaking highly about Somalia. You know, the country that she won't go back to. It's amazing how much high esteem Somalia gets when it's coming out of her mouth, just speaking about it, when in actuality, here are the facts about Somalia. So for starters, the United States listed Somalia as a level 4 risk. It's the highest level of advisory. Do not travel there. They're saying it's high crimes, high terrorism, forget kidnapping and piracy. Also, forgive me for my pronunciation, but Al-Shabaab conducts terrorism attacks, bombings in Mogadishu. So that's Somalia. Organized crime is very prevalent. It's a hub for human trafficking, illicit network. Oh yeah, and we can't forget in Somalia, there's weak governance. They have poor law enforcement, and also some areas are heavily restricted and governed by Sharia law.
So what she's basically saying, and again, let me preface this by saying that if somebody is here in the United States of America and they're embracing the culture and they're respecting our laws and they stand up for the flag and, you know, they acknowledge the fact that they are here based off of privilege and standing on the shoulders of people that have warred, fought, and has progressed this country, sometimes not so much agreeing with how things are going, especially when it came to diversity, equity, and inclusion. But, you know, in a general sense, we fight for betterment, and a lot of times it's not always pretty. But then you come over and you take advantage of what happens here in the United States of America, while at the same time disrespecting us, and then won't even go back to your own country to make it better, but send resources that you've acquired here and then feel entitled to be taken care of by American taxpayers. And so what I've seen is people that are finessing the system, people that have taken advantage of American taxpayers. When you're talking about amongst the highest of people in the United States of America that is on government food stamps and welfare, that is not contributing into the country. And we need to start vetting more effectively for the people that come over here, because we should not be made to take care of people that are over here while at the same time being disrespected. I don't think that that's too much to ask for us to be prioritizing the best and the brightest. And I don't really care about your past circumstances unless it is coming with some kind of crime or all of that type of stuff. But to come over here and to say that we're supposed to embrace your culture while you basically take over an entire city, and then massive fraud is being discovered the entire time. And not only that, but it's being hidden. And you have people that are apologizing, liberals that are apologizing on your behalf, while at the same time you finessing taxpayers. It's almost like me thanking you for robbing me, and then I have to make sure that you're comfortable while you're doing it. And I think that this is incredibly disrespectful. You know, I've had several people that email me and say crazy stuff about how, you know, I shouldn't align with white people. And
well, now parents make decisions based on where their children will have consistent schooling, recognized credentials, and even upward mobility. So interrupting education or even moving into a system with limited resources has long-term consequences that can't easily be reversed. Also, the issue of security, even when violence isn't constant and unpredictability matters. You live in fear. Most of them live in fear of, you know, attacks or even being displaced from their homes anytime that can happen. And people don't just look at whether it is safe today, they look at whether it will be safe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or even 15, 20. Like, it's all about the certainty, you know. Stability is a long-term calculation. Well, most of these Somalis also claim that they have built connections in terms of job, healthcare, housing, and business opportunities often depend on who you know. So many diaspora Somalis have spent decades building networks abroad while losing institutional connections back home. So that gap is really difficult to close once it exists. Some of them are even saying they went to America when they were even 3 years old. Some were born there. So that is the only life they know. They don't know how to live in Somalia. What you're seeing online are fragments of these realities being expressed emotionally. But emotional delivery doesn't mean that the reason behind it is invalid. It means frustration and finally reach the service. So why, when you line the reasons up clearly, economic, healthcare, infrastructure, education, security, and even networks, the answers become obvious. This isn't confusion, it is calculations. So this question I have is for you, my audience. Which of these factors do you think people underestimate the most? Give your comments on the comment section below, and kindly keep it respectful. Tell me what you think. Thank you so much for watching this episode up to this particular point. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.